শিব গৌরাঙ্গ গুণের নিধি কোথা গেলে পাব সে সব গির সঙ্গে যে কইল বিলাস সে সঙ্গ না পাইয়া কাঁদে নরোত্তম দাস যে আনিল প্রেম ধন করুণা প্রচুর হেন প্রভু কোথা গেলা আচার্য ঠাকুর দয়াল আচার্য ঠাকুর দয়াল আচার্য ঠাকুর আচার্য ঠাকুর দয়াল আচার্য ঠাকুর দয়াল বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর দয়াল বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর প্রভুপাদ 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 जगतगुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय।
Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So today, everyone is aware now, is a very special day, disappearance day, anniversary of Jayananda Prabhu. Over the last few weeks, Daiva Shakti and myself in telling different pastimes, activities of Srila Prabhupada, we would say how, I explained how I really never knew what was going on outside of my service, which was with Prabhupada. So even in the building of the temple, I wasn't aware of so many things. And that same thing is here with Jayananda Prabhu. Of course, like everyone, I knew about him. He was very famous as a devotee, especially for Ratha Yatra festival. And what I did, it forced me, Dharmatma Prabhu asked me to give class. Dinabandhu usually does this class today. He had a lot of personal association with him. But I did do some research, which you can find anything out now by getting on the internet. So I was able to look up some things and see some history about Jayananda Prabhu. And I did see him a tiny bit, which hopefully will come along in the course of the conversation. But what I did was I went onto the internet and I went into our, what's it called, Vanipedia, and I found many conversations with Srila Prabhupada, letters from Srila Prabhupada to various devotees, including Jayananda, and I was able to understand a lot more about him and his life. I'm going to start with some letters and conversations at the end, 1977. So by this time, Jayananda Prabhu, he'd been in ISKCON for 10 years. So now it's 1977 and it's February. And right after Ratha Yatra, it's become clear he has very severe cancer. So I want to describe that because in these few letters that Srila Prabhupada would say, things that he would say and things that he wrote down, you could always see Prabhupada, he wasn't a sentimental person. He was very transcendental in every way, and how he describes in this talking with Jayananda in these last few letters, it's very, very wonderful. And after he passed, what he says, imagine Prabhupada 1977 saying you can put the picture of Jayananda Prabhu on the Ratha Yatra cart and you can hold Disappearance Day festival for him like we do for all the great Vaishnavas. This was very special. This is not an ordinary situation. Now, of course, years later, I have my godbrothers, different initiating gurus. We have Disappearance Day festivals for them. But Prabhupada initiated this program himself for Jayananda Prabhu. So how special is this person in all of our lives and what he's done? So I'm going to start, and forgive me again for how this goes about, and if I don't present him very nicely. I'll start here. And it started, this is February 15th, 1977. And they're talking about, the devotees on the morning walk are talking about the allopathic medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry. And it's Tamal Krishna. Tamal Krishna, him and Jayananda also were raised together in San Francisco in those days. They were very close, very different personalities, but very close at the same time. So Tamal Krishna saying the whole profession is crooked. They said they have the cure for cancer. There's this natural herb in South America, but it's being forbidden to bring into the USA because, of course, they were promoting their very expensive drugs. And they're talking about a devotee child, girl of a devotee who also came here at that time. So they won't give this herb in the U.S. And then at the end of the conversation, Tamal Krishna says, Prabhupada, Jayananda, you know, he has cancer now. And Prabhupada just says, acha. He says, yes, he has very severe case of cancer. Brahmananda says he's going to die from this. So now maybe I think he might have been about mid-30s. 38 years old, I believe. He was about 38 years old. Tamal says, now imagine, and he was doing service right up until this point, Ratha Yatra festivals, making the carts, all over his body, these nodules, protrusions, big lumps, cancerous growth. After Ratha Yatra had happened, he went to the hospital. In the hospital, they say, nearly killed him. He lost 50, 60 pounds in the hospital, practically dead. Then they brought him to South America, or to Tijuana, Mexico, and they started giving him this medicine. And all those things on his body, they went away. So Prabhupada said, herbs. He was taking herbs. They said, yes. So now that was 2 weeks before. So now there's a letter from Prabhupada. My dear Jayananda, please accept my blessings. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter, February 21st. And I thank you for the check, as well as the nice sentiments you have expressed. He gave him a check for $5,000 at this time. And Prabhupada says, in the beginning, and when I go back to the beginning and start reading from 1967, you'll see how many times Prabhupada brings up Jayananda gave him $5,000 for the printing of teachings of Lord Chaitanya. It was a very big thing. $5,000, 1967. He said, and now again you have sent. He said, this body is today or tomorrow finished. So Prabhupada knows now he has cancer and he's dying. But again, he doesn't get all sentimental. He said, the body's done, today or tomorrow. He said, trees live for thousands of years, but that doesn't mean a successful life. A successful life is one of Krishna consciousness. By the grace of Krishna, from the very beginning, you're a devotee. And that is the real profit of life. Prabhupada, and I'll probably read it, but I'll mention it now. He would drive Prabhupada in the car in San Francisco in those days in 67, and he always chanted. And Prabhupada always commented how you always chanted when you were driving me. You were always chanting Hare Krishna. These are the things that Prabhupada observed with this devotee. He said you were always chanting. So here he says, I thank you for your check, but I would prefer that you may require the money for your treatment. But I hear that you have some income. I pray to Krishna for your more advanced Krishna conscious life. About a sadhu it is said, Jivava Madhava. A sadhu may live or die. While living he is engaged in Krishna consciousness, and when dying he goes back home, back to Godhead. Hoping this finds you improving in your health, your ever well-wisher. So that's February 26th. So now we have 6 weeks later, May 6th, May 5th, 1977. And Prabhupada writes to Jayananda, I am feeling very intensely your separation. In 1967, you joined me in San Francisco. You were driving my car and chanting Hare Krishna. He was driving a taxi and became a devotee. He had degrees from college, but he chose just to drive a taxi. And he became devotee in San Francisco, which were filled with hippies. And he was not a hippie. He was very different than many other types that joined. He was working and he was giving his check all the time to the temple. So again, Prabhupada, 6 weeks later, writes this letter. You were driving my car and chanting Hare Krishna. You were the first man to give me some contribution, $5,000, for printing my Bhagavad Gita. After that, you have rendered very favorable service to Krishna in different ways. He started out, he very quickly became the temple president. He was one of the temple presidents in San Francisco. And of course, he was very good at it. But he preferred just to serve the devotees. He preferred to take the trash out and put it in the dumpster. He preferred building the carts for Ratha Yatra festival. He could manage, but he gave that up very early on, this management, so he could be involved in Ratha Yatra and then just so he could serve the devotees and serve those that were serving the devotees. So many stories are there. He charmed everyone. Going to the produce markets, he would charm them to give produce. He would charm the policemen. He had no envy. This is devotee. He had no envy in his heart. Therefore, everyone was attracted to him because they could feel he was their friend. He would become friend of everyone. I so hope at the time of your death you were remembering Krishna, and as such you have been promoted to the eternal association of Krishna. If not, if you had any tinge of material desire, you have gone to the celestial kingdom to live with the demigods for many thousands of years and enjoy the most opulent life of material existence. From there you can promote yourself to the spiritual world. But even one fails to promote himself to the spiritual world, at that time he comes down again on the surface of this globe and takes birth in a big family like yogis or a brahmanas or an aristocratic family where there is again chance of receiving Krishna consciousness. But as you were hearing Krishna Kirtan, I am sure that you were directly promoted to Krishna Loka. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vitti tatvataha chatra deham pana janma naitiman eti sorjuna. Krishna has done a great favor to you not to continue your diseased body and has given you a suitable place for your service. Thank you very much. Then May 11th, Prabhupada wrote a letter. Jayananda has passed now. He's already gone. Now Prabhupada writes a letter to the society. Jayananda's death is glorious. It is very good that he had stated, what is the use of such a useless body? Better to give it up. He has left his body very wonderfully, and he has been transferred to Vaikuntha. I have already sent a condolence letter for publication in Back to Godhead. Everyone should follow the example of Jayananda. Sometimes we see, especially in social media, they'll say, Prabhupada's books are Shastra. Morning walks can be conversations, maybe not meant for everyone. Letters not meant for everyone. It was written to a certain person. Prabhupada here says, everyone should follow the example of Jayananda. What was the example? It was very clear. The example was, he had cancer and he said, he sent money to Prabhupada. He said, I'm ready to die. This is what Vrindavan, this is our business here in Vrindavan. I was talking with the head of the department, Jai Nitai, the other day. How important it is for us when people come here, maybe our godbrothers, maybe nephews, nieces, when they come here to die, how important it is us to take care of these devotees who are prepared. I'm ready to leave this body, just like Pankajanamba, just like Dhritarashtra. These people, they came here knowing I'm going to die. I am very proud that I had such a nice disciple. If possible, Jayananda's picture should be hung in the Ratha Yatra of Lord Jagannath, and in all of our temples a day may be set aside for holding a festival in his honor. I hear one of his favorite preparations that he would make, he liked to cook as well, was peanut butter halava. So we have peanut butter halava here for distribution, just at the same time. A festival in his honor, just as we do on the disappearance day of other great Vaishnavas. I am staying here in Rishikesh. This is right before Prabhupada came here saying, I'm ready to die as well. This is at the same time this is going on. I'm staying in the best house. It's situated on the Ganga, and the climate's very first class. Many persons are coming in the afternoon for darshan. In every case, they are going away very much impressed that our movement is not the same, some concoction. And then Prabhupada has a conversation with some Indian gentlemen. It's here in... would you like to read? Maybe you could read it, because there's some Hindi and then there's translation, or I can just read the translation. Prabhupada says, no one can live with cancer. Gayananda was also one of my disciples. He was always chanting the name of Hari a lot, and he left the body. It was a glorious death. He used to arrange all the Ratha Yatras. He was about 38 years old. Prabhupada said earlier he had an accident. He used to drive hours and chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. He was the first one. He said this so many times, this impression. He was the first one who gave us $5,000. I was very anxious to print my books. He was the first one to come forward. $5,000 check. The San Francisco temple was run by him. Back to Godhead. The work that was assigned to him, he did in a good way. So that was the last conversation I could find. I want to go back to the beginning again. I hope everyone is content with this. So this was the very first thing. Prabhupada's going to San Francisco, May 1967. Since I've come to New York, I have not heard anything from Jayananda Das. Jim. His name was Jim. Is he regularly attending meetings? I shall be glad to hear from him. That was May. Many letters he wrote. One thing I found, going back and doing this research, 1967, 1968, how personal everything was. Prabhupada would give classes and he would say, this devotee, he would bring up his name and he's doing this, and where is this devotee? If he didn't see a devotee, he'd say, where is this person? He would write letters and he would put all the different names on the letters, Jamuna, Janaki, Jayananda, Tamal Krishna, and he communicated very, very often. He was always writing and saying, I'm here with you. Because everyone, they were feeling separation from Srila Prabhupada, from the pure devotee. But they worked so hard because of their love for him. I read that one little thing the other day, how Prabhupada says, I'm indebted. You're indebted to me. I'm indebted to you. And this way we go on with love. And when I was doing this yesterday, I was seeing everything was based on love. Love for their spiritual master. And the spiritual master's love for his disciples who were doing everything, carrying out his orders. And Prabhupada would give very specific orders. He was directing everything day after day. See, I came along 1971 and I joined Prabhupada October 1972. We would say 25 letters a day. Maybe sometimes it was 20, sometimes 25. But it was the same, but it was also very different to the closeness that they all had with Srila Prabhupada. So much closeness they had. So much desire they had just to please him. And he would be saying, yes, I'm coming to San Francisco soon. Everywhere he would say, I'm coming there soon, but right now I have to go here and I have to go there. The more things spread, he was being desired by everyone, everywhere, all of the time. And he kept in communication in this way with letters. This is one letter, my dear boys and girls. I'm obliged to you for your prayers. You saved my life. Due to your sincere and ardent prayer, Krishna has saved my life. I was to die on Tuesday. Prabhupada says, certainly, but because you prayed sincerely, I'm saved. Now I am gradually improving and coming to original condition. That was June 1967. Then he says, Jayananda, in a nice car, brought me to the house, which is situated in an exceptionally nice spot. The house itself is aristocratic. It was in the hills above San Francisco. There's nothing to complain about, the house and place. The only difficulty is I can't go to the temple on account of the zigzag course of the roads crossing the mountains. So because he was up in the mountains, the roads were like this, and Prabhupada couldn't do it. Sit in the car, it would make him dizzy. Anyway, the devotees are coming here, and the Ratha Yatra was performed with great pomp. More than 500 people followed the procession to the beach, and there were 24 cars. September 16th, 1967, Prabhupada handwritten letter to Jayananda. Please accept my blessings. I'm so glad to receive your letter of August 30th. And I know also that you're a sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. When you drive your car, you always chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. How easy it is to please your spiritual master. All he wants you to do is chant Hare Krishna. I remember I left Prabhupada, unfortunately, my foolishness, June 1975, and I saw him a year later in Detroit Temple. Now Nanda Kumar was his servant. And Prabhupada gave class, and he was walking back to his room. Hari Sari right behind him, his servant. And I was just one of hundreds of devotees standing there watching Srila Prabhupada walk by. As he walked by, of course, I offered obeisances, and I could see his feet right in front of me. He stopped. So I sat up and I just looked, and Prabhupada looked at me. So, everything is all right? Of course, what do you say? We all said this, yes, Prabhupada. In that moment, everything is always all right. When he says anything to you, doesn't matter what he says you're a fool. It's all right. He's speaking to you. He's seeing you. He's acknowledging your presence. So he said, everything is all right? Yes, Prabhupada. Then he said, just chant Hare Krishna, be happy. I said, yes, Prabhupada. And then he walked on. 2 hours later, after his breakfast, I went into his room. Hari Sari came in with his gamsha, like I had done hundreds and hundreds of times, wearing his gamsha, ready to give him massage. And so I saw him, I looked, and Prabhupada looked at me, looked at him. He said, he is your duplicate. He said, only he doesn't know how to cook. Prabhupada always knew how to jab his servants. He would never say anything nice to you in front of you. He would say wonderful things about you to other people. But in front of you, you're always just fool, nonsense, rascal, forgot this, forgot that. He said, Srutakirti can cook. So that was he gave to. And by Prabhupada's mercy, I could use his cooker. You always chant Hare Krishna. And when I was by your side, I could understand how heartily you have accepted the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Krishna is very kind to all, but he is especially kind to his sincere devotees. Prabhupada's handwriting this letter to Jayananda. Krishna is always with us, within our hearts. He's always ready to give us direction. But because everyone is independent, Krishna responds cooperatively. Anyone who voluntarily cooperates with Krishna's desire, he responds to his call very eagerly. Krishna descends to teach us Bhagavad Gita, begging our cooperation. And anyone who cooperates with him becomes blessed. You are sincerely cooperating with Krishna, and therefore you all boys and girls in San Francisco working harmoniously. Prabhupada elaborates, Harmony means Krishna consciousness. Without Krishna consciousness, there cannot be harmony in the world. I received the report of successful performance of Janmashtami ceremony. I'm glad to learn that you are willing to come to India for further study. We'll see in other things. I received no letter from Gayananda or his wife Nandarani. I'm anxious to get reports from Los Angeles Center. I don't know their address. Your acknowledgement, Krishna has been very merciful to me, is remarkable. You are realizing the fruits of chanting. So far my health is concerned, I'm improving by Krishna's grace, and it is due to your feeling of my absence and eagerly awaiting for my return. Please go on cooperating between your God brothers. I'm always with you, never mind if I'm physically absent. Please convey my blessings to all the boys and girls and tell them I'm very eager to return. There's another letter to Jayananda. This is September 29th, 1967. Thank you for your letter, undated. He would say that. Prabhupada was very... You send a letter, he would say, I've received your letter June 19th. Sometimes he would say, I've received your multiple letters June 19th, September 20th. But if you didn't date it, he would also let you know you didn't date your letter. Because that's something you should do. We learned that early on as devotees, right? If you didn't know the day of the week, it was a sign you're crazy. I know here in Vrindavan, I'm crazy very many days. I'm crazy because I don't know the day of the week. I don't know the date number. Thank you for your letter undated. I congratulate you being elected as president of San Francisco branch. Your election as president is a recognition by Krishna, and I give it full support. Mukunda and other members have rightly selected you as president. Your service attitude for Krishna and your sincere attempts at being advanced in Krishna consciousness will work with you and make your life more and more glorious and a happy state. I'm very glad that you're appreciating by yourself the effects of sincere Krishna consciousness. I've nothing new to instruct you. The same old instruction, constant chanting, attentively hearing the transcendental vibration Hare Krishna is the only process for self-realization in this age. In San Francisco, while you were driving your car and I was sitting by you hearing your transcendental vibration, this very sincere attempt has enriched your consciousness, and my only instruction is that you may constantly do this habit without fail. Also something I'm happy to hear, because I know many times I come here and I speak and I'll tell some story, some pastime about Srila Prabhupada, and I'll think, well, I've told that before. But here I see Prabhupada saying the same thing over and over and over again. You drove the car for me when you chanted Hare Krishna. These are transcendental activities. We speak here Srimad Bhagavatam. We're hearing the same pastimes. They never become old, ever fresh. Regarding the dispute in your mind as to remaining brahmachari, a grahasta, or becoming sannyas, there is nothing to be bothered with. Anyone in full Krishna consciousness dedicating his life for Krishna is already a sannyasi, even if he's a married man. If you like, you become a householder. I have no objection. Our Vaishnava philosophy instructs to become vidvati sannyasis. This means a man who knows things as they are. Therefore, a devotee who knows everything belongs to Krishna, and he is the proprietor of all, such a devotee is certainly vidvati sannyasi. Our philosophy is we should accept things as prasadam of Krishna and nothing for sense gratification. Nothing for sense enjoyment. Anyone who accepts things for sense enjoyment, even if he's externally a saffron-dressed man, is not a sannyasi. The Mayavadi sannyasi considers himself as God. This concept of life develops under illusion. When a person fails to become the Lord of the universe, it is like the sly fox who attempts to taste grapes and failing to do so says, "The grapes are sour." The Mayavadi sannyasins are frustrated beings in their attempts to enjoy the world. Therefore, they say the world is fake. The grapes are sour. The world isn't false. Krishna is the supreme truth, and the world is his energy. Therefore, the energy of the supreme truth cannot be false. As there are hairs and nails on the body, sometimes we separate these parts from the body. Similarly, when the material energy is separated from the service of the Lord, it's inferior energy. It's not false, temporary. That same temporary energy, when surcharged with Krishna consciousness, it becomes supreme energy by the supreme will. So when one is engaged in the service of the Lord, that person is already in the spiritual energy. And the sannyasi, and the real purpose of sannyasi is to transform himself from the inferior to superior. If your consciousness is absorbed in Krishna, you are always a sannyasi. Then December 16th, he writes Krishna Devi. I think at that time was his wife. I'm so glad to know that Krishna did not allow you to do something that was not his plan. Krishna wanted that both you and your husband be engaged organizing a nice center. Jayananda is a unique devotee. What a thing to say. He's a unique devotee. He paid you sincerely, and therefore, as soon as you reached Santa Fe, you found out a good place, better than the former place. Please utilize your energy in this good task, and I am sure is awaiting you. Then a month later, he writes, Gargamuni, I am in due receipt of your statement regarding Jivanuga, and it's clear he is crazy. I had already advised Jayananda in this connection. Pay attention. We cannot make the society an asylum for crazy people. It is not our business. Jayananda is a very sincere and intelligent boy, and I think his decision should be accepted as final. Not only in this case, but in every other complicated case. The elected authorities in the management of the temple should be the final authority in these matters, otherwise the society cannot be managed. Our main principle should be to advance the cause of Krishna consciousness. Then he writes in 68, Jayananda was arranging preaching engagements for Srila Prabhupada. I shall be very glad to initiate the girlfriend if you recommend her. Actual mental condition. We should not initiate anyone who is not willing to follow our regulations. In the meantime, let her attend our classes and join the Sankirtan program regularly. When I received the news, this is again Krishna Devi, Jayananda's wife at the time. When I received news sent by your husband to Jayananda that you were going to be operated, I was a little bit perturbed, but immediately I submitted my prayer to Krishna. And I am so glad that Krishna is so merciful. He has saved your life and the baby. So she was ready to give birth, and there was a question who they could save. It is very pleasing to me. So I'm so grateful to Krishna. And you should know how much grateful we should all be to Krishna. Actually, your case was life and death. Without Krishna's mercy, you could not be saved. At least one life was at risk, either your baby's life or your life. But Krishna is so kind, he has saved both of you. Feeling this obligation to Krishna, you should be more enthusiastic to serve Krishna. And I'm very pleased to learn that you have got a nice, beautiful, Krishna-conscious child to raise. And Prabhupada's given a lecture December 1st, 1968. Jayananda looks like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Everybody laughs. Yes, he was tall and stout and strong, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada's laughing. Everyone's laughing. Very good. December 9, 1968. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada does kirtan, Premadvani prayers. Hare Krishna. I was thinking of, where is Jayananda? Now immediately he has come. Jayananda, always doing service. He was bringing the picture of Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj. Take care it may not fall down. July 69. Convey my blessings to Jayananda, who is helping me so much now in organizing the Ratha Yatra festival. Then they were thinking of sending Jayananda to India. And he says to Gargamuni, do you think that his going away from San Francisco will be detrimental to your working there? If so, then suspend that proposal. I'll be glad to hear from you. If Jayananda has got even a little desire for marrying, there is no harm in that way. But if he wants to marry, he may do so immediately. And that girl, Sachi Devi, is quite suitable. I know if Jayananda becomes married, he will not be a lost child. Rather, a good wife in Krishna consciousness will be an extra impetus for his improvement. June 28, 71. Jayananda, how are you? So you're married now? Prabhupada said that same thing to me. So you're married? Yes, Prabhupada. So where is your marriage presentation? Listen, Jayananda goes, pardon? Prabhupada says, where's your marriage presentation? Prabhupada says, when you're not yet married, you gave me $5,000. Now you're married. You must give me now $10,000. Remember that, all you married folk. Double. Come on, come on. Hare Krishna. And then he talks to Mukundlal, who's his brother, Vishvakarma, we called him Narayan. He was also a big builder. Prabhupada called him Vishvakarma. He was building Ratha Yatra carts. Then May 18th, 1972. I shall be coming to Los Angeles by May 18th, so we shall discuss later. When I come, I shall be glad to give sannyasa order to Jayananda, as Keshava has recommended. Then he writes, I have decided not to give Jayananda Das the sannyasa order of life at this time. Let him wait. December 1, my dear Jayananda, I was very happy to hear from you. I'm always thinking of you and praying to Krishna for your advancement, that you're engaged in San Francisco Street Sankirtan is fully approved by me, that you're feeling more and more enthusiasm by doing this is quite natural, as Sankirtan is our life and soul. One who has got life, he can preach. Yes, I remember the old days in San Francisco. Krishna has been so kind upon me to have sent so many sincere disciples to help me push on this movement on behalf of my Guru Maharaj. You continue with your program in San Francisco, always strictly keeping our principles, and Krishna will bless you greater and greater realization. I am dependent upon you, my older disciples, to carry on. Please offer my blessings to your good wife, Trayi Devi Dasi, and thank her on my behalf for the 3 nice drawings of Krishna Leela. Also, please thank Bhavatarini for her drawing of Gopal Krishna. I just got a message from Daiva Shakti. Krishna Devi was Subal's wife. I'm sorry. Yes, thank you for that. That was Subal's wife. They went and opened the Santa Fe temple. I know. She left Subal against Prabhupada's desire and ran off. they have that baby who was Prabhupada named Vishnu Ratha. Jayananda's wife was Trai. Yes, that's what I just mentioned there. When I joined Srila Prabhupada, I was with him for 2 weeks. And in New Vrindavan, I joined him. We went to Pittsburgh, then we went to Dallas, then we went to Los Angeles, and then Prabhupada went to San Francisco for 2 days. He stayed in one friend of the devotees in a house, little cottage. It was a hippie's house. They cleaned it and cleaned it and cleaned it for days before Srila Prabhupada came, so that Prabhupada would be peaceful there and that it would be proper for Prabhupada's presence. I had only been with Prabhupada at this time for literally 10 days, 2 weeks. And when we got there and Prabhupada sat down in the chair, it was just a typical chair from the 60s, kind of. He sat in the chair, and the devotees are just sitting in front of him. And Prabhupada's looking, and he said, whenever you receive a guest, you should wash their feet. So Prabhupada told his disciples that you should wash his feet. He had to tell them. This is 1972, after 7 years, 6 years. Prabhupada said, proper. He said it's just proper in Vedic culture. Someone comes as a guest, you wash their feet. Then he said, you cut some fruit. And Prabhupada distributed prasadam. And Jayananda had arranged a preaching program. And I remember we went to some hall and Prabhupada spoke. And after speaking, and all the devotees were coming up to Prabhupada's Vyasasana. And I'm, again, sitting there, just young servant, young devotee, young boy. And Prabhupada says, where's Jayananda? See, this was Jayananda. 2.5 years with Prabhupada, I don't ever remember seeing Jayananda. He didn't come and travel here and there to see Prabhupada. He always was doing his service. So Prabhupada's sitting there, everyone's looking for blessings, This is our process, blessing, give me blessings. Everyone's coming to Prabhupada for blessing. What did Prabhupada say? Where's Jayananda? Oh, he's in the kitchen. He was cooking popcorn for Harinam Sankirtan. San Francisco, they would distribute little bags of popcorn. So what did Prabhupada do? He got up and he went to the kitchen. How many times have we heard that? Don't try to see Krishna. You do service so that Krishna will come and see you. This is what Prabhupada did. These aren't just things we say. This is reality. This is the spiritual reality. Don't try to see your spiritual master. Do something. He'll come and see you. So that's what Prabhupada, he went to the kitchen. Jayananda's keeping the popcorn from burning. Then they went out on Harinam. The devotees were in Harinam Sankirtan. So Prabhupada had to leave the program. And he's in the car. He's sitting next to the driver. I'm in the back seat. So the car, they took the route past the Sankirtan devotees. So Prabhupada, they stopped the car. And Prabhupada rolled down the window and, of course, smiling. And all the devotees, everyone's in ecstasy. And one of the devotees, they gave Prabhupada a little bag of popcorn. So the rest of the way home, Prabhupada's got his hand in the bag of popcorn and he's throwing the popcorn in his mouth. So the next day, the same thing happened. Prabhupada spoke. Driving home, they went past the Sankirtan party. They stopped. And Prabhupada rolls the window down. And the devotee came with a bag of popcorn. Prabhupada said, no. He said, it's very, very good. He said, but I can't digest. So he didn't even take the popcorn. He said, I can't digest the popcorn. But he liked the popcorn. So that was my one experience I remember with Jayananda, was Prabhupada going to see him, this Jayananda. He started out as temple president. And then he worked his way up in devotional service by becoming more and more the servant of everyone. It goes on, different letters talking about Ratha Yatra carts. See, one of the first carts they built, they made with the metal wheels, and they failed. The cart was so heavy and the metal was not strong enough that they collapsed at each pole point, metal pole. So boom, 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 boom. So Prabhupada, sometimes he would needle Jayananda about that. Jayananda made sure, he said, Prabhupada, never again. So he made sure he developed these Ratha Yatra carts to be most first-class Ratha Yatra carts that were built. He would not sleep. It's known, as Ratha Yatra was approaching, wherever it was, he would go to New York, San Francisco, Chicago, wherever Ratha Yatra was going, Jayananda was there to see that these carts were built. He wouldn't sleep for days at a time, literally 3, 4, 5 days to get these carts done. And then after the festival, we have experienced that sometimes here. We have big festivals. Everyone's engaged in the festival. Then after the festival, everyone gone. Jayananda was there, and he would have to pick, come, because they'd have to dismantle the carts. They would have to take everything apart. So the work was never over. This was Jayananda. I'm actually very glad you gave me the opportunity to look up his life in Krishna consciousness and see what a devotee is. Who is a devotee? Prabhupada recognized him. He was always with Srila Prabhupada. Very rarely saw him. More letters are there, more things are there, always encouraging. But what I saw, how in the beginning, those early years, 66, 67, 68, 69, how Prabhupada just watered each and every devotional creeper so much. And how indebted he was. How many times? There has to be 12 times in the course of these 10 years. Prabhupada says, he drove my car and he chanted Hare Krishna. So pleased he was. And so easy to please your spiritual master. I always tell that one story when Bali Murdan and I carried Radha Krishna from India to Melbourne, Australia. Marble deities, they're this big. And we carried them. They sat in the plane. They had their own seats in the plane. At that time, planes were not always so full. So Prabhupada was sitting there. Next to Prabhupada, Radharani was sitting there, standing next to Srila Prabhupada with her seatbelt on, and I was next to Prabhupada. And then we would deplane, go in the transit lounge. So again, we're carrying the deities off the plane. And we're in the transit, and Prabhupada looked at me. He said, Krishna is very pleased with your service. And I was just doing what I had to do, and I wasn't thinking very much. But to hear Prabhupada say that, and I thought, how easy it is. Just do a little service, whatever it may be. Whether you're working in the kitchen, cleaning the floors, being the pujari, going out on Harinam, distributing books. They're pleased. They're pleased that you're in this process of Krishna consciousness. So, I don't know if anyone has any information, has a story they'd like to tell, or any questions or comments that I could maybe answer. Karbajan, unique devotee. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
You were speaking that Grastas also, when they are chanting Hare Krishna, they are sannyasis. So how can we understand this?
What was that again?
Grastas chanting Hare Krishna also.
Everyone chanting Hare Krishna. Prabhupada never made any distinction. So often he would say, encouraging his grahastas, he'd say, you're more than sannyasi. You're with a very beautiful wife and you're fully engaged in devotional service. Sannyasi is not by cloth. Prabhupada said, that's why I read that letter. Prabhupada made the point. It's not a question of what color your cloth is. It's a question of your consciousness. What color your consciousness is that makes you sannyasi. One 24-hour engaged in devotional service, he's more than sannyasi, Prabhupada would say. Yes.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So I remember one thing that Prabhupada mentioned about Jayananda Prabhu, that he was happy that Jayananda had a very good grasp of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. He mentioned
Very good what?
grasp of
Graspa.
G-R-A-S-P.
Grasping.
And I was thinking now that actually because such wonderful service attitude, although actually he was not a scholar, he could not remember very well the shlokas or these things. Even the Gayatri had difficulty to remember even the Gayatri. But because of his wonderful service attitude, he was given all intelligence to understand very well the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Although he was not so much like a big scholar.
The one thing that impressed me so much in going through all of this with Jayananda is, again, how much he never looked for attention. He got the most attention by not looking for attention from his spiritual master, by just wholeheartedly absorbing himself in service. And did, again, Prabhupada said, just like the other Vaishnavas, he said to worship him on his disappearance day. So that was quite a wonderful thing, Jayananda Prabhu. I mean, I feel unfortunate that I didn't get any of his association. And yet, of course, I feel that I have the benefit of it as well, seeing what a devotee, ideal devotee. Prabhupada saw ideal devotee, and he never questioned. That's what he said. Whether he don't care, you're brahmachari, you're grahasta, you're sannyasi, whatever you are, he said, I'm sure you're going to carry on. And he said that in one of the letters later. Whatever you need to do, you do. It's not an issue, not a problem, because I know you're going to carry on with your devotional service. One other person want to say something? No. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jayananda Prabhu ki jai, Hare Krishna. So everyone can come and take some peanut butter halava.